Welcome to another episode of the Standing Stone Podcast. I have back with me the crew from El Tesoro, including they've trickled in over the last couple weeks with backing and forthing and making things a little bit easier. But we are here. I'm going to dump those out of the way. And what we wanted to do is kind of recap the season as a whole, how the dogs did, how they did, or what things need to be improved on. It's a never-ending process developing dogs, and even when you feel like you got it right, this is something that came up just the other day. Somebody said, steadiness. My dog kind of creeps out of the blind. I'm like, well, that means that he wants to make a retrieve. But all of those things being said, it can be worked on. They can be steadier, and it involves maintenance. So, El Tesoro. Let's go just big picture. How do you feel this year went in comparison to years past?
It was good. It was a little bit different tempo of a hunting season than it had been in the past. So a lot more. Usually we would have like a day or two between hunts, and this time it seemed like we more often had like 4 or 5, and then we would have very compressed times where we'd
busy
have
chunks and then
more so than in years past, I think. But it was enough to keep us busy, and the dogs busy. Wild birds were very odd before it got cold. Like it was like, where did all the quail go all of a sudden? And then basically when you came down with puppies, it was like, oh, they're all here still. They just needed a cold snap to shake them up a little bit.
What do you mean cold snap? It was almost 80 degrees when I was there.
I know, but
That's a cold snap, folks.
It had gotten down to, I think, in the 40s, like the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still in the 70s during the day, but it was a very dry too, very, very dry. It rained. It sprinkled. I say rained. It was like a tenth. One time, but even that wasn't sticking. Like you could be the foggiest. You'd be like, oh, it's going to be so dewy, and it'd just be dry, bone dry. Which also did not probably help the wild bird situation. But it was good. It had we have two new dogs down there? So 3. Sorry, counting. We had 3 new dogs come down. We had. The cocker crew was all the same. 3 new Shorthairs. It was good.
Gabe, who led the cocker crew? Who was your go-to cocker?
I ran Trip a lot.
That's the man.
Ooh, I wouldn't have said that.
If it wasn't Trip, I would say probably Dorothy.
Yeah, Dorothy is your girl.
Yeah.
Dorothy.
But both of them, like, over the season, like, better and better every hunt. Like, it was awesome. It was a good season.
I like those two as well. From a, let's say, complete package dog situation, I feel like they are the easier of the collection to live with on a regular basis as well. My experience, Belle's not bad, but Belle's got a lot of go.
Yep.
And on the other end of it, Hook is super mellow, but can be a little messy here and there, which, those two are clean. These are all things like when you get more than one dog and they're not the only dog that you're taking care of, some of them fall into that pattern a little bit easier than others. So complete package. Those are, and I mean, the boys all love that. Dorothy is their favorite. Come on. She's Dorothy. So why go to, though? That's what I want to know. Specifically, so we know who they are now, but why?
So from a handling aspect, like Trip, for instance, both of them really started to use their nose a lot this year. Last year, the cockers were more kind of like sight flushing, so to speak.
Sure.
Trip and Dorothy this year really kind of figured out how to use their nose, and they flushed really hard. In terms of like retrieves, almost every time they'd get the bird all the way back for me before, like, some of the other cockers, they'll see quail on the ground and decide to drop their bird and reflush.
That's good to know.
Trip and Dorothy consistently would ignore the bird on the ground and bring the bird back to me.
Focusing on that. That's a lot of times that would be referred to as a in the retriever world, a diversion bird, or even it could fall into the poison category, which would be like an old fall type of scenario. But in that specific situation, the way that we can teach that or help them develop is with a diversion drill, essentially, which is just throwing marks for them while they are coming back with the retrieve, helping them to follow through with the retrieve that they are currently working with before they move on to then go pick up the next one. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's a good one.
So what's the difference between that and switching?
The difference between dropping that when there's something else that comes up, or just switching when there's two dead there. Like, explain to me what you're saying.
That's the difference. Is that switching would be there's two dead birds. They go run over, pick one up, run over to the other one, drop that one, pick that one up, and come back.
Oh, got it. Yep. So both are shot, and they kind of know where both are.
Yeah.
Or it's very close timing, right? So I'm almost to that one, and I get it picked up, and I see the other one. But if there's technically multiple there, switching, or if you just had a pile of bumpers that you were working through, shopping could be a term for it too, where you pick up and set down and pick up and set down. So just working through that aspect.
Yeah, I would say that their biggest struggle with retrieving was probably switching. Like if they passed a dead bird on the way back, that was harder for them this year than they could go by a live bird easier, which is weird. It doesn't make sense, but because you would think that the live bird would be more enticing, but that would be something too to add to their repertoire is work on those kinds of drills where they maybe have to run past a dead bird or have two very close marks where they have to pick one and come finish that retrieve.
If they've got two close marks, did you see more that they would run to one and then try and play that game like they recognized both, or that they only could focus on one?
They could focus on them both. It was the problem was it was like they were trying to do them both essentially, which is what I think the basis of the problem was, is that they wanted to grab them both and bring them back. And
who brought two back?
Trip
does that. Yeah. He pick them both up and say
Arrow does it too.
Yeah, saving time.
But she's like
efficiency master,
quasi-retired, so whatever. If you want to, you can get too mad at her about it.
Yeah, that's just efficiency.
But
it's taken most of her life to figure out how to do that. Come on, Charles.
Yeah.
From a handling aspect, in terms of like picking which cocker, like I'll use Pecos as an example, like healing through the field and off leash. Like Pecos is a good dog. He flushes birds, he retrieves birds well, but staying on top of him to heal off leash. And from a handling aspect, like Trip and Dorothy always want to do what you ask, and they're pretty consistently like healing through the field. I don't have to get on very much with the e-collar. Pecos is a different story. He's fired up all the time. He's ready to roll. And so keeping him at that heel before we're ready is a bit more of a challenge for him. So Trip and Dorothy are just handling in the field, handling for the hunt, just make life a lot easier.
They're also more consistent. So if you handle them on a 2, say, they just handle on a 2 all the time. Pecos and Bella, Bella, no more than any of them probably needs to have, like, his jump settings had to be a lot different, because when you're handling her anywhere near birds, it's a whole different level than when you're completely away from birds and you're just healing. Whereas, and I would throw Hatchet in that mix too. Trip, Dorothy, and Hatchet are much more consistent across the board, easier to handle. Or Bella, man, sometimes Bella would get on. She could be a handful when she's really
she's really
driven.
ripping.
Yeah. So, good things to mention, not to kind of glaze over. You said jump features, and what specifically talking about here is the 5300 has the ability to run a specific setting on nick or continuous stimulation, or you can hit the vibrate button on its own separate button, or if you push the top 2, the second 2, or the last 2 together, you have the ability to program those to different jump levels. And those could jump up or down, or they could stay the same. So you could essentially eliminate accidental jumps if you don't want them. It could be because there are extra buttons and things like that. But if you just want one jump, you can set the top two together as a higher level, which is programmable to each individual collar, as well as maintained on each separate collar on the transmitter itself. So orange jump to, let's say, Dorothy runs on a 3 and you jump to a 6 or whatever. And then Bella runs on a 5 and we could put the black collar on Bella. She runs on a 5 and then sometimes needs to jump to a 10. Those are independently set per collar, which makes that transition drastically easier and less likely to cause problems. So if you have more than one dog that are a little bit different, you can make sure that you're handling each appropriately.
Yeah, because you had a lot of your jump settings turned down to like nothing.
Yeah.
Because you didn't need, like on those 3 dogs specifically, you don't need it. So you just have it set to 1. So if you do accidentally grab it, you're not hitting them too high. You're not
like for Trip. I think my first jump is set to 1. My second's like 6 maybe, and my third jump is 11. Like he's not the only time I don't think I ever used 11 once. Like he's very
so a standard level that your working level is just a 1.
Standard level for Trip's about a 4.
Okay.
The reason the jump is set to 1 is he gets very vice grippy with birds, and so when he comes back, he'll sit for you and everything. But if you try to take the bird from him, he just holds on to it. He won't give it up. So using that initial jump at 1 to kind of give him a small nick, he lets go of the bird and he's ready to go again. The rest of them, like going through a 5 on the field, he handles really well until he starts chasing like a not shot or a bird that was shot at but not hit. That's the only time I ever really use the jump, and even then, like going from the 5 to 6 or 7 is not drastic. Trip and Dorothy handle really well on minimal jump.
Yeah. It's a unique situation. I think the level of retrieving, drive, and hold on to with them is different. Their mental block or response to it is different. They get the ones that, and someone may listen to this and say, well, it's bad handling or it's bad training or it's bad conditioning or it's whatever. You could do better. And I don't disagree that anybody can do better, but it is one of the things that when we work on, I would rather them have that vice grip type of mouth to minimize the amount of birds that are dropped or sloppy, and not on the simple one. Okay. Straight out of the truck, first bird gets shot. Any dog can learn to do really good on that. It's when the going gets tough, and that's when it gets hot. So you add heat as a variable to now the dogs are panting, and then you say, I need you to still hold on to that bird. And if you take a dog that has slightly lack of desire in the retrieving category, even just a little bit, they go, that's one of the first things to go.
Yeah.
I'm a little hot. Don't care. So to say, and one of the best things, it's not something that was the go-to in the handling situation. It's not something that I would even recommend for most dogs, but with them specifically, very light collar pressure was enough of it pulled their focus to that enough that you can say good and take that from them. And it's where another tip that we've used in the past would be picking up lightly on their flank, and they think about that. Well, it doesn't really work with the cockers without putting more pressure than you would think you would want to by really picking them up. And it's just like, meh, let's not do this. Let's come up with a different way. We can pull focus with very light levels of stimulation that says, hey, there's something else. Ooh. And it just like snaps their brain out of, I have to be vice gripped. And you say, okay, I can give that to you. So
it's like anything else too, that we worked with him on it and he became collar conditioned to that. So it's not like, it's just a reminder. Hey, remember it's just like anything else that he's appropriately collar conditioned to it. And so you can use it because it's a skill he has.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and as the season went on, like less birds needed that like slight reminder of, hey, like it's time to give it up. Like, he would come, he'd let me take it with no problems. He would give it up. Like, later in the hunt, I think at the start of the season, mainly when I was using that, like, that one to get him to say, hey, like, it's time to let go of the bird. So, like, toward the end of the season, I don't even think I was really using the collar to get him to drop the bird, or not drop the bird, but like deliver the bird to me. But it's, like everything else, every dog's a little different. He just needed a little tweak.
So he's no Roo.
No, old Roo.
Yeah, and it's something though to keep in mind that, like you said, every dog is an individual, and the key with the whole process is we have to evaluate what the response is to the specific handle. And if it works, it's probably, we can just categorize it as it's probably right. Is there a different way? Maybe, but did this way work? Yes. Did it deteriorate anything else in part of the process? No. So it falls into that zone of it works for that dog. So you have to be able to think outside the box. I know when we were working through, like, how do we help teach you to do this without necessarily teaching you to do this? Because when you apply cues and reward for behavior, then dogs try and anticipate that's going to be the expectation and give it more often or faster. So then the next thing you know, you got a dog that is retrieving everything to hand and comes back and throws birds at you and says, I'm ready for my reward, whatever that is. So it's a fine line of finding the right thing, but that worked really well. Very light simulation, just as a reminder to say, it's essentially pulled focus to snap him out of lockjaw on the bird. And that just comes hand in hand with having a lot of drive and desire. Speaking of Trip, little Trip Bella puppies has been confirmed. No, we are not starting a cocker breeding program. No, we will not have multiple litters. And if you are listening to this podcast now, it is most likely that there is not an available puppy. We are doing a breeding with the ranch dogs to bring in a additional, maybe 2, depending on what actually is born, as dogs to continue the program, because we already have some dogs that are going to age out by the time these ones would be ready to come in. So it is just helping to supply what we need, breeding the dogs that we found that truly can do it, because we went through quite a few flushing dogs to begin with that didn't have enough umption to do all the pieces. They could flush birds, and they could do it here in Kansas in the nice soft grass to run through. But if the first cactus they ran into or pokey bush, they're like, y'all, I'm out. This was kind of fun, but I don't want to do it anymore. So finding dogs with enough grit that then didn't cross that line into too much grit that we can't really handle you anymore or whatever, you got that really good balance, which we talked, Bella is kind of on the high end of that spectrum, where she's got all the power and close to the shut off. I mean, it shuts off but it's kind of like suicide clutchish. She's either off and she's happy, but pooh, she's ready to go again. Trip, I think, has a little better balance. Dorothy definitely has a little better balance in that zone, and that is that attempt here to bring Bella down just a notch, but maintain all of the good pieces. So,
yep.
I like it. So with Pecos specifically, we have focusing on some of his handle in higher distraction areas. This is a big part, folks, of we are just back. What do we need to be working? Building out a plan for dogs moving forward so that we can prep for next season. We've got time, but these dogs are in full-time training year-round, and Pecos is a piece. Now, all of them are falling into the category of we are moving the cocker string towards steady to wing and shot. That is the goal. And as you mentioned, there is not a lot, like you're looking up additional, how do we steady flushing eyes? There's not a lot of information out there. We are applying the same process. It's different because they're different dogs, but the same steps essentially is what we do dogs, just replacing whoa with sit. Okay. So in our Steadiness program, we teach dogs to stand wing, meaning we stop them, we let a bird go, and we make it increasingly more difficult. So to start with, the dog is in front of us, and we have an entire video series on this with the courses coming out. Let's just go coming soon, which is what it says there. But the bird would come out behind us. That puts us between the dog and the bird, the high distraction, right? And this can slowly get more difficult to where you can throw birds essentially at the dogs that are standing there, flow them right past them, and they'll stand and watch them. Okay. Same thing with sit. We're going to, and we started this process with them while they're young, but they're still in that age of not mentally ready for advanced stuff, but made really good progress with it. So sitting through the flush, because we start with standing through the flush, and then standing shot. So literally they're standing there and you fire a blink pistol, which up until this point in their life, gunfire means something's coming down or it's exciting or whatever, gives them that shot of adrenaline. Let's go. And so being able to baby step this process, we would shoot while they're just standing there. Just essentially, I don't want to say random gunfire, but essentially just random gunfire. There's no other need for it other than to condition you can stand through this. Then we move into the zone of they are running around, and then out comes the bird, and they are then woed. So that is stop to flush. And then same thing with the shot, stop to shot. And if we have a dog that can do all of those pieces, stand, wing, stand, shot, stop to wing, stop to shot, then we can put them together. So here comes the bird, here comes the shot, and then you stop to all of those things. And that is the best way that we can prepare them in the yard to bridge that gap into the field. Now, the whole process starts over once we get to the field. But if we can't do those simple yard training steps, we're not ready to go to the field, which is where we're at currently. So right now, and through this whole season, the cockers heel off leash, which is awesome, and then wait to be sent, and then sit, and then are sent. They go flush birds. They help make retrieves, but they are not steady beyond the once they are released from healing. So what we'll be able to do, pending they excel the way that I expect them to this year, they will be able to run more like a cocker or spaniel field trial would be, which would be run in, flush the bird, sit to the flush themselves, and wait to be sent, which would be with their name to go help make retrieves. So it will be fun. It will be a fun adventure this summer, and we will do our best to capture video moments through the process.
If you miss time corrections with them, you can turn them into, I won't call it pointing because it's not.
Pointing cockers. Yeah, and that's it.
So that's an added complexity to their steadiness as well.
If you take too much away, or put too much pressure or added whatever that is confused for what the expectation is, you are absolutely right. Yep. They will go from flushing birds and chasing them to pointing birds because they don't understand that it is just flush and sit. They accept the precursor of they might just smell birds and sit down. And that's to avoid any type of correction. So you do have to, I don't want to say approach with kid gloves, but approach with clarity for the cockers, which is why we've put so much emphasis on all of these individual pieces and kept them separate from actively flushing birds thus far. And now we'll be able to incorporate the two of them. One thing that I think that we'll utilize, because we have used in the yard work, is a long line or a check cord. And being able to utilize that, I think, makes more sense. And these guys do pretty well with collar pressure, but it will be the middle ground to, if you make the mistake, I have the backup of you ultimately won't be able to complete your chase and whatever else, have a hold of you. And then we can reset up another situation. So,
yep,
we will see how it goes.
It will be a journey.
It is new.
It'll be an experience.
But I feel confident in what they're doing, that they'll be able to do a good job. Pecos needs a little bit of help with healing during high distractions. We talked about the diversion category and switching and or shopping and or picking up multiple birds, which in essence, parts of that are good, but also parts of that create additional problems. If birds get moved, then where I helped mark them and somebody else marked them, and then all of a sudden a bird ended up here and that one got picked up. Now we're not looking in the right zone for the extra bird. It's definitely an issue in Texas. It's I would say, bigger issue for dogs to do it when you are up north and they move a pheasant in a cattail slough. I mean, it's like, what now do we do? Or move it across multiple rows in a shelter belt or whatever, where the cover is thicker. There is still a chance that you could see the quail on the ground sometimes, but nonetheless, the goal is to retrieve everything that is killed. So the better way to do that is for the dogs to complete the retrieve that they're working on. So we've got that piece. What else specifics have you got, Gabe?
I think the only other thing, like the only reason Hatchet didn't make like the top 3. Well, she was top 3. I think the only reason Hatchet wasn't like the go-to girl was like her retrieves. So when she comes back, like Trip and Dorothy will bring the bird back and sit and wait for me to take it. Hatchet, on the other hand, she gets squirrely and she sits there and she spins at your feet, or she'll lay down. A
little more. I don't want to say nervous energy, because it's not nervous. It's excited energy, and doesn't have quite as much calm. She's got the go, not quite as much, and her response is to find something to do. And we've worked a lot on interrupting that, but it's hard.
Yeah,
it's very hard. So it is a self-serving behavior, because she gets to do something when she's being asked to not do anything. Like sit still for a minute. Well, but I can spin, but I didn't go anywhere, right? So it's tough, but that makes sense. Continuing to work through that. And ultimately, folks, when it comes down to it, we're building a string of dogs that is very, 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 very nice. And when we fall just short of, I don't want to say perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect, but we're shooting for close to perfection. And when you fall short of that, everything you hit looks really, really good. And you start getting a finer and finer tooth comb to work through that list. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, if we pull something out of this litter and then maybe get the opportunity to breed Dorothy and pull something out of that, we only need 6 right now as kind of the top end of the cocker list. And we start chipping away. You're like, well, because you had 6 to pick from, and you picked one. Trip was it. Dorothy being like neck and neck kind of category. Slightly underneath of that is Hatchet. Where does Bella fall in that category?
So it's hard. Like, don't get me wrong, I use Bella a lot. I think, like, I would say Bella and Hatchet are probably neck and neck. The only reason Bella didn't get used more is because of the necessity to use different jumps. Having that switch for her of like, it's time to go.
She's harder to handle.
Yeah.
She's a little harder to handle.
A little more work throughout the day.
Sense. Yep, that makes sense.
And so
she's got the extra pop. That's what that's when I reached out to those guys. I said, I need one that can run through a brick wall, and then we overcorrected slightly. Now, I don't want to paint a bad picture of her, because she is also incredibly nice to be around. But Trip is going to help balance that. And there'll be somebody. We'll be able to tell the one little outlier that's, off doing its own thing, and the other ones that are the balance. And even if one falls on the bottom end of the zone that you can tell you're definitely the most laid back, you're probably still going to be better than what we've already gotten rid of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
The other 3... being Trip, Dorothy, and Hatchet, picked up on the like not shot bird very well and stopped chasing, whereas Bella is like, no, it's coming down, I'm going to get it. And so then you're trying to work through that while she's in the driviest, arguably for her, part of her whole bird sequence.
And the hard part about that is age development aspect of things too. So she was not brought on as a puppy to learn the difference between shot birds and not shot birds. She was trained differently. She was handled differently. She was taught differently. And it goes back into the conversation of why drive outside of just getting the opportunity to hunt. We have birds here. We have situations here. Those dogs that hunted the puppies specifically, right, had hunted with me all of September, all of October, all of November. What are they going to gain out of 3 days at the ranch? Well, 20 coveys of quail in the environment that we're going to be asking them to hunt. So learn these things now, which day one didn't go all that well. Day two, they found them, but there was some bumped coveys and there was some learning experience involved there. Day three, everything was pinned down without a single mistake. So now, not to say every dog's going to magically learn how to handle quail in 3 days. No, these are dogs that have handled hundreds or approaching thousands of birds, and then they're getting the experience in that when they're younger, just like Trip, Dorothy, and Hatchet, all getting this experience when they were younger. So it's it. I think that what Bella has to offer in this situation, specifically in breeding with Trip's going to help to tame her down a little bit, but also she's incredibly mentally stable, which is a huge factor with any dogs, but specifically when we break down dogs, we talk about desire. I talk about mental stability being a huge thing. Mental stability is not something that's trainable. So if the dog is mentally stable, they can handle lots of things. They can handle advanced training and handling. They can handle uncomfortable or new situations. And it becomes a very important part of, should we attempt to get offspring out of you? And it's a big one. So her having that, and Trip is as well, you can actually watch a majority of Trip's early development in puppy training on our YouTube channel here. But when you cross that in, we're going to have the mental stability. We're going to have the ability to tame some of that down, but then also taking the puppy out of her, even if it's got that amount of drive, and being able to develop it the way that we specifically want. Like if we don't know this, it is an unknown, but it is a thought that if we'd had Bella as a puppy, she would be slightly different now in this zone of what you're talking about, right? She would have been here earlier, had the opportunity to learn these pieces and handle and everything else at a younger age. So it's why we take the time, effort, and energy into driving all the way down there to run puppies, so they can learn these things while they're young, versus they're not, they're 3 till they really start to experience what quail are. So
you also got to pick the puppy that keeps its head up and doesn't poke itself in the eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is wild. So you talk about wild stories from this fall. Now, this is something that we're specifically going to reach out to Rex Specs about. But Trip runs, however, like 1 in a million, Doc. I don't know. If you talk about, go ahead and explain what has specifically happened with Trip down there. Twice.
So Trip on 2 separate occasions while he was flushing birds, or the first time bringing a retrieve back.
Right?
Yeah. He runs with his head down the entire time and ended up, the first time it was mesquite thorn. The second time, I think he was in the middle of a weesatch. But like compared to Dorothy, Hatchet, and Bella, like once the birds are flushed, they're head up chasing birds. Trip the entire time, his head down, like chasing birds through brush.
He's like digging.
Yeah, like cactus, the whole 9 yards. And that led to 2 separate eye injuries, 1 in each eye. And both times, like his eye filled up with blood, and it was scary. And
literally a thorn stabbed right in the eyeball. Oh goodness, I think I have video. We can pull this up. Keep telling your story. I'll see if I can find it.
But so when when he was bringing the bird back on the retrieve, we took the bird from him, and we looked down at him. His entire eye is just red, like entirely filling with blood. The second time wasn't quite as bad. Like his eye still had some blood in it,
and the injury wasn't nearly as bad as well.
But he still went on antibiotic drops and like a almost like an eye lube kind of deal for him.
Yeah, the second time he didn't need the dilation to relax the eye, because it wasn't as much damage to his eye. The other girls also, like Bella specifically, we kind of laugh because like when she flushes, she does a wheelie.
Yep.
Like she likes to go in, and when she flushes, she's like up on her back legs.
Yeah.
Whereas Trip is just in there, and once he's focused, man, he does
going.
not care.
Yeah.
Well, I think that comes hand in hand with what she's more bred for too, from a field trial standpoint. I mean, they're literally, in order to win, have to show that exuberant flush.
Well, she's got it
without catching. Like, they have to push the bird first so that it can be shot and can be retrieved. Now, they aren't faulted. I mean, I'm not an expert. Please, honestly, correct me if I'm wrong here in this category from those that do know about spaniel trials. Just put it in the comments. But essentially, they are scored off of their ability to flush, and they are also not necessarily docked for catching a bird. That's kind of like a poor performing bird. It's the bird's fault, essentially. But at the same time, the dog that catches birds in their runs versus the dog that aggressively flushes them, it looks like $1 million flying through the air after this and then comes to a screeching halt on their butt and waits for the retrieve. That's the dog that's going to win the trial. You know, like, that is viewed as a better flusher in that situation. So here's the video. Should be able to pull this up here. If it's I don't know if there's really audio for it or not. I will put this in so it'll be on the YouTube video. But you can see his entire eye is just full of blood. And it's the first time that there's a first for everything, folks. We always learn all the time, always learning. But his eye is completely full of blood, and it is very scary looking. Yeah. It's like, okay, so is this where we go and have Trip's eyeball removed? I don't know. And the fact that there wasn't anything still in there was good, and
they didn't break it off.
Yeah.
Yes. By the time you got to the vet with him, there was basically no blood left in his eyeball.
The majority of it had drained out.
It's wild.
And I think, like, if you still look at Trip in his right eye, you can see where he got
scar
poked. Yeah, he's got a scar on his eye now from it.
Yeah, Splash 2 years ago, I think. She had an eye injury too that caused some blood, but I looked down at her and the big cactus needle was like moving with her eyeball, and I'm like, ugh. Do I take this out? Yeah, what do I do? And she blinked it out before I could, but I was just like, it was so creepy watching that big thing, like wherever she was looking.
But like, you talk about, don't get me wrong, Trip, Dorothy, Hatchet, all flush extremely hard.
Yeah.
Talk about a dog that'll run through a brick wall. Like, I would argue that Bella flushes harder than any of the cockers.
For sure.
Like, she doesn't, out of all of them, she doesn't have an off switch. Like, when we're running hunts and it's really hot, like, Trip, Dorothy, Hatchet all start to show it, and they're like, I'm getting a little beat. Like, I'm getting hot.
Yep.
Bella is just another level of ready to roll.
And that's the piece that's good to balance when we look at breedings. And we've talked a lot about this in different podcasts, but my opinion, which is what y'all are here to listen to, there is a thought process around breeding same type to same type in order to get more of the same type. And what I see with that is when we breed same to same, it trends in whatever direction those dogs fall, because there is no such thing as perfect. So you are in some sliding scale off of the perfect needle of balance. You're either on the slightly more driven side, and if you breed two of those dogs together, it trends up, and you end up with dogs that are maybe more driven than what you necessarily wanted. And the same on the opposite end. You're like, oh, well, this dog's super sweet and it's got a great personality and it's really laid back and we love that, but it's a great hunting dog. Oh, and we've got two of those. Let's breed them together. Now all of a sudden we trend into a zone like, I don't know if that one's quite enough hunting dog left. So the trending version, we look more on a balance, complement each other, the yin and yang, if you will. You need some oomph, you need some chill, and you need to find the balance. Now, that's not like magically we put them together and we get a perfect split of all of that either. You will find dogs that trend more towards mom, some that are more like dad, and then some that have a combination of both. Those are the ones that we're looking for. We're trying to find, you look more like your mom in these things, and you look like these things as your dad. And sometimes you get, you have both with your mom and your dad that I didn't want together in one dog. And I think that's less likely because there's rarely enough that we go, we don't really want this if we're actively considering breeding the dog, but still it could happen. But for the most part, you're getting some form of a balance, and that's the goal. So her bringing him up just a little bit, him bringing her down just a little bit should fall into that zone. If we can find the balanced puppy, should zone us in the tweener zone.
Oh yeah,
that's where we want to be, in the tweener. So we have that crazy story, eyeballs, right? So it happened again. How long after the first time?
It was like his second hunt when he was cleared to hunt again.
Yeah,
it was right away.
Because they said he needed a week off from hunting, and then I think it was his second hunt back. Yeah, it ended up happening again, and
he's probably just running through the brush like, use my good eye, and then stabbed it into something else.
That one he was flushing on.
Yeah, that one he was flushing on, and kind of like the first time he was coming back on that retrieve, and he yelped, and like you looked at me like, did you nick him or something?
Yeah, I was like, what happened there?
So he went in, he yipped, and instead of continuing to flush, he came back and he was like, hey man, like,
this hurts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the same thing as the first time he did it. I went and swapped him for, I think, Pecos, and continued to hunt, and then we got him to the vet the next day. But again, like by the time the hunt was over and we got back to the quail rig, we got everybody settled. His eye had already, like all the blood had already drained from his eye. There wasn't much left.
Well, in first experience, more concerned about it. We get there and the vet's like, yeah, it's an eyeball. I mean, as long as it's still there, it's going to heal itself or not ish. You know, I mean, it was definitely less of a immediate concern in their eyes than Tripp's eye. I think he thought it was a pretty immediate concern. So we got rec specs, and this is something that we're going to specifically reach out to them about. They don't fit him well, even after taking all of the measurements and trying to make sure. They end up riding up, which impedes his vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it rides up his nose, and then like here's the bottom of the goggles half covering his eyeballs, and then here's the whole shield on his forehead. And so this is it was at the very tail end of the season, so it's just like, well, we'll give him a break. But all of that being said, we're going to reach out to Rec Spec specifically and say, hey, can we do this? Because I don't know how many times. Like, yeah, he's gotten poked in each eyeball. I don't know how many times you can just continue to get poked in your eyeballs until they stop working appropriately. They do have, they're like cats, right? They've got only so many lives in them before the dog just goes, has vision issues.
Well, and I'm sure, the long-term effects too. Like I
can't imagine that he doesn't have some form of vision impediment by being stabbed right through the eyeball.
Right. And when he's 7, does he develop a cataract in that eye or something?
Yeah, a little floaty spot or a little blind spot in the middle.
So protect him.
Yeah, and like dog vision is different. They talk about near sight, like tunnel vision type of things, and it stabbed him right in the middle. So how does that work? What we ought to do, honestly, is we could have sent him today because they're literally going for puppy eye exams, but we can get Dr. Keel there in Kansas City to take a look at them and say, all right, what kind of, and it may be even better to be further removed from this so they have time to heal and quote unquote remodel or fix or whatever they're going to do, and then say, do we have vision issues from this? Can you tell? So I think that when his puppies go up there for their eye exam, that would be approximately just shy of 3 months from now, 2.5 months from now. That would keep him in the zone of maybe 3 to 4 months removed from an accident, almost 5 months from the first eye.
Yep.
So that's a good enough zone that he's probably in the heal category that we can say what's going on with his eyeballs now.
Yeah.
And then have documentation of that as well. So
because they do get scarring. I mean, we've done eye exams, because you have to do them every year, and we've redone them and seen like the more you hunt them, they start to get marks and scars and stuff that you don't even know happened. You just from being out there and doing things.
They can determine this is an imperfection or an injury or an issue that is not going to spread or it's not going to change or it's. But we can see that something happened.
Specifically on Arrow, I think every year we redid her, she had a little more trauma, and it's kind of leveled out now. But yeah, every time we took her back
hard
in,
running dog too.
yeah, every time we took her back in, it was like, what did you do?
Yeah.
You have 3 more spots on your eye.
Yes, exactly. And you never showed any signs
Right.
of it's wild the level of toughness. So, unique things. Anything else fun happen while we're on the cocker subject?
Other than, we told the story of Dorothy, like getting the bird 4
Oh,
foot out
no,
of the
yeah, you
tree.
can tell that. That was pretty funny.
So we were, and I think we told it the last time you and I were on the podcast, but we were in the middle of a hunt and they had shot a quail and it landed like 4 foot in the air on a tree and just stuck.
Yeah.
And I was walking up to get it and Dorothy runs in there and starts jumping at it. And the first time didn't get quite high enough. And then now we're all standing watching her jump for this bird. Second time didn't quite get it. And the third time she put some umph in it and grabbed it out of the tree and brought it back. But it was, once she finally did it, everybody, you would have thought it was like the game-winning touchdown to the Super Bowl.
Well, it was funny. Every time she did it, the cheers got a little louder too. Like as she's building up, we're all like, "Go, go, go!" And then she did
awesome.
it. It was pretty funny.
That was awesome. So all in all, good.
I think Thunder is the only one that caught one.
Was
it Thunder that? No, we can get.
At the end of the last hunt of literally the last hunt we did, there was a bird, like a shot bird that could still fly pretty well, and we sent Trip on a flush, and it got up, got shot, and he snatched it out of the air.
Well, I mean, there was one that got hit, landed in a tree.
Yeah.
And sent the dogs on and ran over there, and it's like doing its death flop, and like as it's falling, grabbed it and retrieved it.
Yeah.
That's how I caught it. I caught that right out of the air.
Yeah. Oh, the Trip. A couple of the cockers have caught some wounded birds, like jumped and spun. And, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Very athletic.
We've got some pieces to work through. All in all, incredibly nice. And then the goal would be with the little puppy to be that it ideally will get opportunities to hunt this next fall, pending where it's at in training. That would be the process. Worst case scenario for it, it'll come hunt with me for a bit. But it should be able to go to the ranch and do same thing those puppies did. I mean, Trip was not a year when he went down the first time. And just getting worked in that type of scenario where maybe a little less chaos here, start to learn this process, that would be optimal. And now, again, knowing the expectations of where exactly we want them to go, we can start to utilize more of those pieces in the development process. So what we will need, folks, is what should we name the new cocker? We didn't get the opportunity to name Dorothy or Hatchet. We did name Trip, and actually, Trip is the only one that we have named.
Yeah, so the rest came with a name.
They came with the frame in the words of, I don't know who said that, but it's what is that from?
I have no idea.
You're not game with the frame. I don't know. It's some Kirk always used to say, but it was from some movie, and it was like, "Oh, it's a nice picture of your family." Game with the frame.
Yeah.
What is that from?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah.
Game with the frame. Okay, so all the cockers' names came with the frame, but we are going to need help to choose a name. I don't mind names that are a little funnier for the funny little dogs that are cute.
Well, that's like El Tesoro's underfoot.
Yeah, Trip is El Tesoro's underfoot. So.
Definitely lives up to it.
Yeah,
they all do.
It's where they're at. So if you've got some name ideas, definitely throw it in the comments below. On to the Shorthairs. Now, this conversation will be longer and shorter all at the same time. So from a ranch development standpoint, we're into not only later into the seasons down there, but specifically spent almost 20 years developing steady to wing shot and fall bird dogs and have a pretty good handle on what that takes. Now, the specific dog at the ranch is slightly different than maybe some of the dogs that we've had in the past, but not a lot. And as we've continued to select dogs that excel there, they're only getting better for that program, which involves bird dog and involves versatility. Speaking of versatility, we will be talking about the most recent utility test where the boys went and showed off, one a bit more than the other two, but had a really, really good day. So we will talk about that here in the next episode. So stay tuned for that. Talking utility dogs, what can happen and how wild it can really get.
Yeah.
So
I think at one point I turned and looked at one of the judges and said, I would have lost a lot of money on this dog doing that.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Like the number of times that you go, never saw that before, never seen that before is like it's a very common thing when you put them out in a brand new, let's see what you can do environment. So, let's talk specifically on what did you see different short hair wise versus previous seasons? Let's talk about that. Just big picture differences.
The biggest thing is that starting to see some of the younger dogs developing signs of pressure around the cocker going into flush.
Interesting.
So loading up, crouching. I never really saw them back away, but like that kind of like getting down and away from where they perceive the pressures, when it's coming and where it's coming from.
In the past, I have seen signs of that on occasion with dogs, and it gets viewed as like bad pressure in the situation. And it's not pressure. It's like anticipation of here is the next step. And when you think about what pointing is or how it develops, it can be geared around a stalking type of environment. And when you see all of those really cool videos that everybody loves to watch on the internet of short hairs or bird dogs, they're all like stocky creeping in on this bird. I'm like, man, I wish that dog would stop moving.
Yeah.
But still, it looks really cool. But that creeping type of lower to that's what kind of comes out because they're not allowed to move.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to stand there, and they know that a bird is about to come, and they're like, I want to go, but I know that I can't, and I have to wait, and I'll just sneak in here.
Yeah.
So,
but I won't move my feet because that's not
feet.
okay.
That's not okay. So they kind of did the crouchy thing. So who specifically? I'm curious.
Cass and Vale were the two, which Cass this was his first year down there.
I say like that made sense, but it doesn't really. So
no,
it's just two dogs.
Vale didn't show any signs of that.
I understand now. That
last
I can
year
write their names down on the paper.
But Cass is something you go, okay, well, this is all kind of it's also more than what 99.9% of dogs see, right? So like
how many total this year?
I think we released 9,000.
I think 9,000 is what we ended up doing because it was, I don't want to say a slower season, but it was
just different
pace season.
What was the total? This is sidestepping now. What was the total number of covey of wild quail found? Do you have that?
I do not. I didn't add it.
You have the running total?
I can get it pulled up.
You'd have to pull it up because it's split by pasture too. So north, middle, and south. You definitely had the best.
Yeah, because the puppies train develop right here. Come on, what do you got going on down there? Only the best of the best dogs that we have. Yeah, I think that it comes down to setting up things appropriately. There's perfect storms and there's reasons why sometimes things happen, but it was good. It was good that it happened.
Yeah,
way better than going down there and struggling for 2 or 3 days because the weather was wrong.
Hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hot.
It was warm, but they did fine.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised, and I talked about that in the podcast, but how well they actually took to heat tolerance coming out of the Dakotas where we were cold. I mean,
right.
We didn't see a day within 20 degrees of where we started first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
but it was it. There was, as far as, I mean, I don't want to even say it's a negative. It's just an observation. It wasn't, it's just something to be mindful of and to know that, to be careful with it and make sure it doesn't turn into something.
Crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But, quite a few of the dogs there, Vale specifically turned on her backing much more natural, faster, instantly instead of step, stop, because I know I'm going to get in trouble. That it was very, very good.
People talk about that a lot. Like, what is the best way to teach backing? And my answer still falls into the same category of the breeding is the best way to
whelping
teach.
box.
Yeah, the whelping box. There you go. Breeding is the best way to teach backing.
But 8,000 birds doesn't hurt either.
It doesn't. It's interesting, though, how too many birds can also create new problems. And too many birds in specific types of handle. We talked a little bit about this, and I'm curious to know your opinion. I would like to say that I hope that I was helpful, but it may not have been. A decompress period. Do you feel like it helped Thunder or hurt Thunder?
It seemed very neutral.
Okay.
Specifically for him. It didn't hurt like his steadiness. It didn't hurt anything like that. Like
Okay.
he was the same, steady Eddie that he always was.
And what I mean, folks, by the decompress period is I took him. I'm trying to think, I took Splash, but she stayed with me.
Yeah.
And I think that it helped. I think that the change of pace for her helped.
I think she would be one that I would say would have helped more.
So what we see with dogs that have a lot of drive for retrieving and a lot of drive to be bird dog and to do all of the things,
or
and
for Thunder, just drive to be alive.
Yeah, he's got a lot of it. We say stand steady, and you got to do that. And then in the off season, what do? You train for utility tests and master tests, and so you're steady. And then you come out of the off season, you go back into the season, and you have to stand steady, and you have to stay steady, and you're still steady, and then all you are is steady. And that is the least natural way to ask dogs to be bird dogs. Breaking at wing is the most natural because they lock up on point, and then they get to chase and go make retrieves, and that part is natural. So it's easy to maintain. Is it less safe? Technically, depending on the environment, but also arguably a dog being in the field period is it's unsafe for them. I mean, It's a dangerous game. And I've seen as many opportunities specifically in the quail field where a dog backs and they're maybe 20 yards off of the point and the birds fly that way. And now all of a sudden, because you were behaving backing, standing over here and you haven't moved yet, now you are in the line of fire. Now, no dogs get shot, but at the same time, it is still one of those things that you have to take into consideration. So all of that being said, Thunder got to come and hunt with me in grouse season and run and be a puppy and break at wing, which took a few birds for him to figure out again. He was just happy to stand. He said, "Nah, go pick that one up over there. I don't want to handle you. I'm just up here to have fun too." So I didn't know if long ramble short, they tend to seem like they get.
We said resentful, but I don't know if that's the right. I mean, it's the
they try things a little bit, or it seems like they get frustrated with having to stand so much. And I thought, decompress. Here's recess. You have mental capacity of a 4-year-old child, 3 to 4-year-old child. They need a break as well. And so if there's never any true break from an expectation standpoint, you could eventually get a little burnout, or you could get frustrated, or new weird things develop. And so we tried it, and it's good that it was at a minimum neutral.
Well, I
didn't want it to cause problems.
I think it helped Doc. So I took Doc with me for 9 days. I think we were in North Dakota and Iowa, and I don't think he started in Iowa, maybe even a little bit North Dakota. Again, same thing. Like I'm like, just go do your thing, and he started going to the shot. So that was kind of that's where he fell back to. Like he never really went past that. But I do think it helped him. He had a much, not that he ever really had a not happy attitude, but I think it helped him to kind of get a chance to just
revitalizing.
Yeah. And it probably helped too. We killed a bunch of ducks over him. So that always helps too.
Yeah. That doesn't hurt. How many covey?
55 total.
55 total point coveys of quail.
And a majority of those were split between the north and middle. We didn't find nearly as much in the south this year just because of how dry it was, I think.
And it's not, I do not believe that is counting your puppy finds, which you had
20.
A lot.
Yeah. Like 20. Roughly 20.
Yeah. And it's a pretty good day down there if we can get, there were some days 2 hours. That's what you get.
Yeah.
And then you're spent. And when Gabe and I are scouting, we're taking the whole dog trailer full and we're running down a strip, swapping, down a strip, swapping. Because it's just getting that
So
hot. So
interesting. So that would, it pushes you into considering it is not the primary focus yet. It is building still.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Coveys of quail, as well as, and I think a lot of guys in the South would say, majority of wild quail hunting gets better after the first of the year, just from a temperature standpoint and things of that nature. But 70 Coveys of quail moved is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So
we would, if we were consistently finding Coveys in an area, then we're like, all right, we got these.
Don't chase those anymore.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go
we
find
would,
something new.
So we may, towards the end too, we were definitely going to areas where we were not finding as many and going, why are we not finding them here? What can we do differently as far as temperature, time, feed route? Like what can we do differently to try to find these birds? So there may be some days where we only found a couple because we were just in an area where there weren't as many quail. Yeah. And so that, we could have just kept going back and finding the same, 8 to 10 Coveys an hour strips.
Yeah.
But that's not doing us any good. We've hunted them 4 times and every single time we've found them. There's no point. So let's go find them where we didn't.
That's awesome.
But it was
awesome. So we got the crowd, the flushing anticipation that we can evaluate and figure out what is going on there. I think removing that through a majority, because they don't really need to train that constantly. So it's removing that. They get to move into different categories. We talked a little bit about this
and we did not see it like if in training, like just me walking in and flushing birds, nothing at all. It's very
cocker related.
Yeah, very context to that situation. And I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I bet they would still do it. They know the cocker's coming. If we did it here, I wonder how much they would be different. But it's the cocker. It's not the it's not that nuanced that they're going to be like, oh, there's no prickly pear here, so it's different. It's the cocker.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or even the flush, not necessarily the cocker, but just they know that means the birds are going to flush.
Yeah. And then they want to make sure that the birds don't see them.
Yeah.
So so all of that being said, it's interesting to see the evolution of moving from the geriatric crew that we started with to being able
plus
to
thunder.
Yeah, plus thunder.
he brought the average down a lot.
Yes. But still those dogs can't run for 3 days straight without being sore. Average age to start off with was like 8.
Yeah.
So then you come into the next season, we had a couple younger ones step up, and then we're into how many younger ones specifically? Was it 6?
More than of theirs or of total?
I'm saying young dogs that were down there in comparison.
I think 8 at the highest
8,
that I would call young dogs.
Yeah, younger dogs under 5.
It was basically
5 or under, probably.
Half the Shorthairs at one point were 4 or under.
Got it. So when you're in that zone, those dogs can I don't want to say be beat on, but they recover faster. That's the key. So you run on one day and then you look at them and you're like, you're ready to go tomorrow. And you run them again and you're ready to go tomorrow.
And that's generally how they slow down. It's not like you run them on the ground and you go, oh, you're older. So they hunt the same, but then you get the next day or even that evening, you're like, oh, Correct. That affected you a lot more and you're going to need some time. Whereas
I feel that.
Yeah. Whereas the next day you go out there and East is bouncing around like a puppy still. And you're like, I hunted you for 3 hours. And he's like, no, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready. Exactly.
Whereas his mama Allie is like, do not wake me up. Get Allie, you have to get off the dog bed and go outside and pee. She's like, no, I don't.
I do not.
Leave me alone.
Yep, I am here. I am fine. Leave me alone. All right, so some of the biggest things that we will be working toward this spring is testing. And it is always our goal in preparation. We were just talking about this, new dogs that we will be preparing. I think specifically it would be Pocket would be the next on the list to come down.
Yeah, Pocket and Duel.
So Pocket and Dual will be there next year, hopefully, depending on how they mature. They should. I mean, they should be doing. They're 2 seasons into Wild Birds in the Dakotas, and they led the. I mean, Dual found half of the birds that they found down there. You know, she's ready to do it. Mentally ready for the steadiness if she's a steady dog naturally anyway. So it'll be fun. We'll be able to move into that, and then we're in a zone of the old dogs are kind of phasing out, and we have the young dogs that are coming down, which is
Yeah,
cool.
I don't think I'm going to be able to steal Allie from the boys again.
No, I mean you won't. You probably will believe this, but they literally have her sit on the floor in the middle of their 2 beds, and then they have to the 3, 2, 1 start calling her and see whose bed she jumps in first. Yeah, and then the other one literally starts crying. It's like, this is a horrible game. Let's just bring up another dog.
Yeah.
And so now Muddy, that she's also in that, and now they just switch every other night. One gets Muddy, who is the like, I don't know, leftover biscuits or something.
Yeah.
And one of them gets Allie, who I don't understand how she is the golden child, because she just lays on them and doesn't move. And they're like, Allie, you gotta move over. But they love it. So she's also loving that. She's also settled into free runs here. She doesn't do them. She just walks next to you. She's like,
yeah. Sounds like her sister.
Yeah. So we moved into on the last one. We just had her ride with us while we took everybody else on a free run, which is not. I mean, you can take her out and she can go hunting, but she's like, nah, this is for the young ones. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't need this random running.
She's
stuff.
also she will also just sleep. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like,
you let her
no,
do
you
it.
have to get up and go pee. And she's like, no, I do not.
No, I'm good.
It could potentially be raining or something. I'm not going out there.
Yeah. Her theme song. I'm good. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. All right.
This should be the one I missed the most.
Well, I understand that. Looking forward to the test prep side of things that people do know about. Thunder is prepping for the Invitational. We had started hand signals in the yard. We will continue that process now that he is back. And I think if anybody has the potential to truly kind of actually learn a general understanding of hand signals, it does fall into the category of him. Yep.
Loves to be told what to do.
So being able to work through that will be coming up this spring. And then what we will be working on, what we're talking about, is working through the next dog leading into prep for utility testing. And what that involves is a ton of retrieving. The expectation of retrieving in the utility test is huge, and specifically with ducks. And if something weird is going to be learned, it's with a duck in a marsh. Second to that, probably something weird comes out in retrieving. It's with a quail. So those are the 2 things that they have to be solid on. We'll be utilizing, and show this in videos. We've done it before, but marking drills, not excessive. And again, we're not retriever guys. So when you watch these and you are a retriever guy, please tell us what we're doing wrong. But more specifically, see how versatile dogs learn this process slightly differently. And if we can work through our bumper and duck retrieves on land, we should be able to confidently trust that they will make those retrieves when we can't see them in the back of the marsh. Speaking of the marsh, the duck search pond is currently 2.5 feet, maybe almost 3 feet high. And we
busy
will be,
beavers.
Oh my goodness. They're wearing me out. So we'll be working on getting that cleaned up to bring the water level down just a little bit and prepare for spring rains. And outside of that, one of the coolest upcoming dogs to be watching is Riot. I've talked a ton about him. The dude is special. He has got all of the pieces of his grandpa and great grandpa and whatever else, how many times he's a grandpa in there, Vex, and it's it. I mean, he does the things you're watching. I can remember, and I've told this story before, but quail hunting with Vex, and he just cuts off on some random, like, where are you going? Next thing you know, beep, he's on point over there. I'm like, that's where you were going. And those are the kind of things that I see out of that little dude, which is, it's a fun spark to kind of see. I'm hoping to see it truly ignite into something else. So we've got work to do on cockers. We've got work to do on Shorthairs, and I'm looking forward to training this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Exciting.
A good time.
All right, folks. That's all we've got for today. We appreciate you joining us, and we will catch you in the next one.